Hey everybody, welcome to the Chr13 Show. I am your host Chris Pipes, and tonight we are on case number 38. Tonight we go back to the year of 1981 in the state of Ohio as we discuss the disappearance of Cynthia Anderson. Hey, what's up everybody? Thank you so much for taking the time to check out this episode of the podcast. As always, I really appreciate it. So, when I was trying to pick out the first case to do for 2025, I came across this story. I didn't know much about it, but the more I read, the more I decided I wanted to bring it to the podcast. So on that note, let's open tonight's case. Ohio, 1981. Cynthia Anderson is known to be an attractive woman who is working as a legal secretary for a law firm in Toledo, Ohio. So who is Cynthia Anderson? Cynthia had a very religious upbringing and attended many church-type functions such as prayer meetings, church camping, and swimming events, and church on Sundays. Cynthia was known to have lots of friends and never made waves as described by her dad. Cynthia, 20 years old at this time, did have a boyfriend who also went to her church. Although she worked at the law firm, she did have plans to attend Bible college with her boyfriend. So as it seems, things were going very well for Cynthia. So it seems Cynthia has her life in order, but some things at work were not so great. Less than a year before her disappearance, someone had spray painted the words, "I love you, Cindy," on the wall of a building across from the law office. The person also wrote by G.W. What's weird is that it's reported that the writing stayed on the wall for 6 months before finally being removed. But only a few weeks later, the same thing was painted on the wall again. Only this time in even bigger letters. "I love you, Cindy," by G.W. Someone seemed to be obsessed with Cynthia. After the whole "I love you" sign was painted not once but twice, Cynthia started to receive some disturbing phone calls at her work. So much so, one day a client of the law firm saw Cynthia receive one of these calls, where she answered and quickly hung up. The phone rang again within minutes, and the client said Cynthia looked really scared. He could see it on her face. Also, around the time of the harassing phone calls, Cynthia started to have recurring nightmares. In these dreams, Cynthia would be attacked, kidnapped, and murdered. So between the love signs, harassing calls, and the nightmares, the law firm did install an alarm button at her desk and had Cynthia lock the office doors even during business hours. Tuesday, August 4th, 1981. Cynthia leaves for work as normal. Cynthia was said to have skipped breakfast and left her parents' house around 8:30 a.m. to go to work. She was only 10 days away from starting Bible college. It was reported to the police that Cynthia was seen at work as late as 9:45 a.m. When one of the lawyers showed up to the office around noon, Cynthia was gone, the office was empty, and the lights and radio were still on. Cynthia's car was still in the parking lot, but her keys and purse were missing. There was no note from Cynthia saying she was out, and she would normally put the phones on hold, which was not done. The office had a strong smell of nail polish, no sign of a struggle, and the door was still locked from the inside. Another eerie detail is that a romance novel that Cynthia had been reading was open on her desk to the pages that talked about the main character being kidnapped at knife point. And that's what investigators had to work with as they started their investigation. So about a month after Cynthia disappeared, police get a call from an unknown female said to sound nervous and was whispering. She claimed Cynthia was being held hostage in the basement of a White House located next to another White House that was owned by the same family. The police begged the caller for more information, but the caller hung up without giving the police any more details. So, what happened to Cynthia? One theory, of course, is that she was kidnapped by the person that left the "I love you" signs and the harassing phone calls. Police did interview the person that left the sign, but he claimed it was for a different Cynthia, and no charges were ever brought. Another theory is that Cynthia up and left on her own. It was very clear that Cynthia was brought up in a very religious household. Cynthia's dad had claimed that Cynthia had started to take more interest in her looks right before she disappeared. Cynthia had money in the bank, but it was never touched. Plus, there were no signs of a struggle, and the doors to the law firm were locked from the inside. But as of now, we just don't know what happened to Cynthia Anderson on that day in August 1981. Well, guys, that's all I have on tonight's case. I hope you found it as interesting as I did. Once you've done your research on the case, go to our Facebook page and send me a message and let me know what you think happened to Cynthia. Also, shout out to my cousin Ricky who lives in Ohio. So, do you think Cynthia was kidnapped or ran away on her own? Let me know. Thank you for listening to the Case Chris Show. I'm your host, Chris Pipes, and I will catch you on case number 39.